Welcome to the Mentor Podcast, where the most highly motivated entrepreneurs come to get their weekly dose of financial stability with host Ron LeGrand, as well as other nationally recognized thought leaders who will teach you how to get, grow, and protect your wealth.
Well, hello, everybody. This is Ron LeGrand on another edition of the Mentor Podcast, where we are doing everything we can to help you make more money, keep more of it, and retire filthy, stinking rich.
Amen.
Got a great guest on here today. His name is Matt Leitz. And I'm telling you, I'm looking at his hair, and I'm thinking back when he used to have hair like that. That was a long time ago. Matt is going to talk about chat bots. And if you don't know what that is, you're in good company. But very unique tool that he uses to get sellers to contact him. And you better pay attention. You probably won't hear this anywhere else.
Yeah, buyers too, Ron.
I'm buyers too, right?
Hey, it takes two to tango, right? So
Matt, who are you, and why should we listen to a word you say?
Oh, that's a tough one. So I guess my experience in this whole real estate thing started flipping houses well over a decade ago in Columbus, Ohio, and I sort of gravitated to how do we create systems so that we can not only flip more of these houses, but do it with less stress. I found we were getting into that mode of like chasing a deal. And long story short, I just got led on this path down the technology route and discovered this little thing. And when you hear chatbot, and I'm excited to be able to share this with you, Ron, because I respect your work and I've learned so much from you over the years. Chatbot's one of those words that's starting to, it's been around for a couple of years. It's been a buzz. It's this thing. People know, what is it? What really matters is that it's ultimately think of a way that you can, number one, generate leads, and number two, turn those leads into deals by using automated communication. So if you were to think of, old school marketing, when we were doing the billboards and the yellow pages, that was the first generation. And then it kind of made that big move into email collection, which is, obviously, Ron, you guys do a lot of the permission-based marketing.
Yeah.
This is kind of the new phase, which is conversational marketing, they call it. So instead of just being a one-way message, imagine a two-way experience where somebody can actually have a personalized experience, get what they want to get done, and not have to talk to an actual human being, which especially when because I know your main niche is motivated sellers. We all know how timid those people are when it comes to picking up the phone. So what happens is not only does it generate the leads, but it also negotiates the deal on behalf of you. And I like to be very clear about this. I don't like to act like a bot's going to complete a deal for you. You still have to there's a human component to this for sure. But I know so many of the people on the line are probably part-time investors, have jobs, doing other things. This allows you to have, imagine an automated agent going to work for you while you're at your job or while you're with your family. And then instead of having to deal with tire kickers or painful phone calls, you've got somebody who's ready to do business at a pre-negotiated price.
Well, you better be explaining how that works. A little bit about your background first.
Yeah, well, okay. So I guess in the real estate space, I started a company a little over a decade ago called realestateinvestor.com, which was at the time the premier network for real estate investors to be able to connect with one another, to be able to do deals and be able to learn. I went on to co-found a company called Clever Investor with a gentleman named Cody Sperber, who you know. We've had not only great success as a company, we've had an immense number of success stories, and it's just been a wonderful business overall. I mean, along the way, I've started a board game company called BoardGames.com at one point, and now my primary focus is this chatbots. Not only because it's clearly where marketing is going, but it's a hell of a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it.
Okay, well, you look like a techie kind of guy.
I'll take it. Ron LeGrand just told me I look like a nerd. But,
all right, so tell me how this thing works.
Yeah. So imagine
in doofus terms now.
You ready? You ready for this? Okay. So everybody these days kind of knows what a website funnel is, right?
Sure.
Or a squeeze page. And everybody knows what an email marketer is, obviously. So when I explain it, I say, imagine if a website funnel and an email marketer met on Facebook and they had a love child. So what a chatbot gives you the ability to do is to generate a lead. And that lead can come in a wide variety of ways. So it's not just, them having to go to a website and type in a form as with a traditional email opt-in. They could, send in a message to your bot. They could click on a link. They could click on a button. They could click on a Facebook ad. They could comment on one of your Facebook posts. There's literally a dozen ways they could get into your chatbot. But imagine that, while an email marketer, you collect an email, you can market on email. A chatbot allows you to market to somebody on Facebook Messenger. And Facebook Messenger at this point has over 1.5 billion people using it on a daily basis.
Including my wife.
I mean, just nearly everybody at this point. If you send messages on Facebook Messenger, you've used it. And what's unique about it is that, while email opt-in rates have just been declining through the years, we've got a client, Grant Cardone, who right now he's getting a 95% open rate on his Messenger messages going out, which is, I think, higher than normal. But I mean, just imagine, compare that to an email open rate of, maybe 20%, and you're doing amazing.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know that. That's right up there with text, isn't it?
And what's cool, and that's a great point, Ron, is that a lot of people, when this whole messenger bot thing came along, they said, oh, well, bots are going to kill email. And I just, I could not disagree with that more. What's unique about chatbots is once somebody comes into it through all these various ways, what's cool is because it's connected to Facebook, a bot gives you the ability to subscribe somebody to your email list with one click and to subscribe somebody to your text list with one click, because Facebook already knows their email, right? So imagine instead of having to type in your email to a form and hit submit, because Ron, you probably know this to be true, and I know you've collected a lot of years over the years, like leads over the years, like we have. Opt-in rates on pages have gone down over the years just because people are just sick of it. But in a bot, with one click, it says, hey, is this your best email address? And since Facebook already knows it, it just pops up and they just click it. So we get roughly about a 75% email opt-in rate through a bot.
Okay. So you bring them to your squeeze page, right?
Yeah, that's one way you can do it for sure.
Well, then they opt in through the bot.
Yeah.
What happens?
Then what happens is an interactive two-way experience. So let's just say, for example, and as I mentioned, we've built these for both buyers and for sellers, but let's just say that it's a seller, right? And let's compare the experience inside of a bot versus the experience on a traditional web page. So they come into your bot, which they could do that from a web page, or they could do it directly on Facebook or in any number of ways, which we'll go into that, more in the training. But once they get into the bot, imagine that it's interactive such that it's asking a lot of the same questions that you might ask on a form. So you're going to ask things like, what area are you buying in? Are you trying to buy multifamily, or, like what's, all these different things, pieces of information. But instead of just being this ugly long form, it's now an interactive experience where, based on how they answered their previous questions, it creates, if you were to imagine the back end of what it looks like, is imagine this tree, right? Where it's simply just going, okay, well, this person likes this. Well, let me ask them this.
Yeah.
And then it's the entire time it's tagging them, not to get technical, Ron, but you know that concept, sure.
I'm actually not as dumb as I sound about this stuff, but
I know you. You're playing Columbo right now.
So it's asking them another question based on the answer they just
You got it.
Yeah, which is what the big boys do out there right now. All right. So you say, well, you're talking about buyers. How about sellers now? Same thing. They come to you, they want to sell a house.
That's it. Yep.
And it asks them the questions you want them to ask. And then does that complete a form, or how do you get that information off of their contact?
It does. And what's great about a bot is it, especially for those out there that aren't techie, I think a big problem is always like, well, I've got this tool and I've got this tool. And it's like, a bot is, what's cool about it is that it can actually connect all the pieces together. So your bot can send leads to virtually any different program. So the information comes in, and then, The major difference being, because of that interactive experience, we've built, and this is not an easy thing to do. This is obviously something that's not basic level, but we've built the bot to actually negotiate the price. Because I think for a lot of people, the biggest fear they have, especially the new investors, is like that negotiation process and trying to get them to throw out the first number. And
biggest fear they have is opening their mouth, Matt.
yeah.
Afraid they're going to say something stupid or they can't answer a question.
And I've gotten over that fear many years ago.
All right. Well, but many people give up a very good career because they don't want to contact.
I agree.
Are you telling me I can program this thing to ask the questions I wanted to ask? So now when I get this lead, I've got a really hot lead or a so-so lead or no lead.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
And the great thing too is if you are that person that's a little timid of those conversations, instead of it being this really awkward conversation, you actually have a conversation piece. So you've got a pre-negotiated price. They've already been through that. And, we've built the bot in such a way they're very humorous and, they just make the whole experience better for both you and for the seller.
Okay. How about these questions?
Yeah.
Because, I'm in the terms business.
Yeah.
All of it, but I specialize in the terms business.
Love it.
And our questionnaire, which is right on our property information sheet, the questions that we really want to get the answers to, we call it the $1 million script, is if we can agree upon the rest of the terms, what's the least you could take for the house? So
love it.
They put in a number. And then, is that the best you can do? Okay. By the way, you'd be shocked how far they come down just with that.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
And second question is, we usually buy with nothing down, okay? All right. If they say no, it can then ask them, well, what is the least you could take down?
Love it.
Okay. Last question is, if I'm willing to make your monthly payment until we pay you off in full, okay? And then we put a question there if they don't say that's okay, or maybe it's free and clear. Okay, what's the least you could take per month?
Yeah.
So basically, if this thing can do all of that,
it can. Yeah.
That takes the fear.
And Ron, what you just hit on right there is the thing that usually when I come on and I'm teaching this stuff, everybody's very, just enamored with the technology but what you just nailed is infinitely more valuable than any of that, because it's the framing of that conversation and the specific language that's used. And when I built the bots, I think that's part of the reason why our students have gotten such success with them, is that it's basically, and what I just took a ton away from it. That's amazing. I need to build a Ron LeGrand bot for you guys is what I need to do.
Well, I can get you in. I can get you in my seminar if you got a credit card.
Oh, we're talking. All right. I think you've collected my credit cards in the past, buddy. So
I haven't gotten any money out of you in a long time, man. All right. So what I just said was the same questions that my students have to call after our VAs fill out the sheet for them.
Yeah.
Whether they need to go to the house or not. So what you're saying is the bot can do that for us once we set it up. So I still got to go to the house or have somebody else do it. But now I'm getting leads that are about as qualified as a lead can get because I already have the answers before I call the seller. And that brings me up to, I know that these leads have got to be a lot more costly than just any old lead. Am I correct?
Well, costly as in expensive?
Yeah, cost per lead.
Not necessarily. The beauty of a chatbot right now is that, they live on Facebook. So, you're going to have that unique proposition and that you can have those conversations on Facebook. I don't know, what it costs these days to get a phone call from a postcard. I'm not sure of that, but I know that, for a couple bucks, you can get somebody to click through and have a conversation with your chatbot.
Okay, so you're telling me you don't have to pay any advertisement to get them to come to your squeeze page and find you?
You don't know. It's just like everything else. There's got to be a source of where these people are coming from for sure. Yeah. But because a bot lives on Facebook, Facebook ads are very inexpensive, relatively. I don't want to act like anything is inexpensive these days. That's obviously not the case.
Yeah, we're assuming we're running Facebook ads that we pay for.
Sure.
Therein lies the cost. I can tell you some of my other students are getting leads, Facebook's ads, some of them $60, $70 a lead. in your case, I wouldn't care. I don't care if it costs $250 a week because I know about every other one of them going to be a deal. And that's the point.
I mean, if you're going to talk to them, they're ready to do business. That's.
Are you kidding? They pretty much already made me an offer before I get on the phone with them.
You got it. Yeah.
Questions?
You got it. I mean, you nailed it. I mean,
that's it. That's the whole point. Our sellers make us offers. We don't make them offers.
Exactly. It flips the script. And we're very particular about the language, just, to say things along the lines of, Ron obviously there's a lot of people that want to sell their houses right now. To make sure that Ron takes this deal serious, I just want to confirm that that's the best price that you can do. So it just gives them a couple of, just like you did, Ron, you actually probably invented the house flipping bot before the technology came around, because those questions you can't do better than that. So.
I invented everything that has to do with house flipping, man.
I love it, man.
I've invented so much, I forgot what I invented. All right. So if somebody wants to, first of all, they got to hear about your system. You're going to give them a place to go to a webinar here. If I can just give it to them now. What's the, what is it? thementorpodcast.com/bot, right?
Yeah.
/bot, B-O-T.
I think bots, B-O-T-S.
Okay.
Yeah.
thementorpodcast.com/bots, and that'll put them on your webinar. And that's where you're going to take them through this thing step by step, right?
We're going to show them. Yeah. We're going to open up, show them under the hood, show them how
show them on a live screen where they can actually see it working.
You got it. 100%. Yeah. Okay. To be honest, it's a hard thing to explain here in conversation.
It is. Yeah. It is. And I can tell you, I know my audience, and half of them don't have any idea what you just said.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think that's the beauty of it, though, Ron, is the thing is, and this is just the God's honest truth, is if you were to start from scratch to do what I just explained to you, you better be somebody who loves to do this stuff. I mean, it's not for the faint of heart. On the other hand, if you heard that and you go, I don't know what the hell it is, but it sounds like it could give me a leg up on the competition. Mm-hmm. And this long-haired guy, is crazy enough to maybe know something. It's just one of those things to take a look at, because by the end of the training, you're going to look at it, you're going to go, yeah, I need this, or I don't need this, but at least you'll know. So when you hear this chatbot thing thrown around, you know what the hell it's all about. Because
you're not the only one using chatbots. Been around for quite a while, actually, and
for sure,
companies I know are using it. So not without a reason.
Absolutely.
All right. Yeah. So we got to set this up. Are you going to set it up for us? What's the deal?
You talking about bots here?
Yeah, the bots.
We've set it up in such a way that it's pretty turnkey. So, obviously everybody's business is a little bit different. So ultimately what we boiled it down to is we've made it so it's, you download the bots, one for buyers, one for sellers. We give you a few tutorial videos. And, it's one of those things, if you're scared of email, then, maybe not. But if you can handle the basics, you can follow step-by-step tutorials. I mean, literally, you end up editing 7 or 8 boxes, and it's good to go.
So what you're saying is, once you get it set up, we can let our 12-year-old handle it from there on in?
Yeah, well, it literally runs itself. And I don't like to make anything sound too easy, because I hate those guys that do that. But here's the thing about automation. It's always been part of our winning, even back realestateinvestor.com, Clever Investor. We were just the other day, we were having a conversation. We were looking at our email autoresponder, and there's emails that I wrote a decade ago that are still generating revenue. And the whole message with the chatbot is, even if it's just, you're like, what the hell is this? It's just changing that focus from just, getting a deal to actually creating a system and a machine that can help you duplicate and work while you're not working.
And I'm thinking, Matt, this goes way beyond real estate.
Oh, yeah.
Any business needs to incorporate this. Like, I had a restaurant, should have chatbots for the restaurant, somebody monitoring it, right?
My buddies are selling $100,000 a month in chatbots to restaurants right now. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because I would think that'd be the least common, kind of business to even need it. But they've built themselves a 7-figure business selling bots to restaurants.
It's really just a way to have a relationship with your customers and your potential customers is all it is.
100%.
Bypassing traditional means, like you said, email is getting worse and worse and worse. Well, I don't know what else to ask you. So what should I have asked you that I haven't asked you?
Oh, that's a great question, Ron. What should you have asked me? Let's go outside of bots here for a minute.
All right.
What's the biggest challenge that I'm seeing right now with real estate? Because when I look at the real estate market right now, Ron, I could be wrong, but it seems like it's just really crazy scenario with a lot of these. Are they called iBuyers? Is that what they call these?
We call them all kinds of things.
Yeah, well, you probably. I mean, they're just.
You're talking about all cash buyers that advertise they're going to buy your house, make you an offer, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
All right.
What do you think of those, Ron? What's your?
I don't think of them, and I don't think about them because, frankly, it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Anyway, but even if it wasn't, they're not competing with me. When I buy a house and pay all cash for it, it needs rehabbed, and anybody who is approaching somebody with a house that needs rehab, that guy knows that it's going to have to be sold at a wholesale price, and those aren't the kind of people that they're contacting anyway. And by the way, when you ever get an offer from one of these guys, you'd be shocked at how much you actually net. So they don't bother me. Of course, competition never did bother me, Matt. I'm too busy making money, care less about what my competition does. Let them worry about me.
Beautiful. Well said. Well said. Yeah, I look forward to sharing this with your team, with your students, and hopefully it ends up being one of those things that can just be you set it and forget it kind of thing. Because I
like that.
A lot of things to worry about these days, and yeah. I don't want technology.
Well, I spend a lot of time teaching systems, automation, delegation.
Yeah, I know you do.
Because really, you're not going to get anywhere if you don't master this stuff and get it out of your life, so you can only make decisions. That's all I do. I just make decisions. I don't do hardly any of the work. And that's what I'm trying to guide all of my students to do. Get out of your own way. I say to you, that important, and there's nothing you can do in your business somebody else can't do for you. So the more automated you get, the easier it all becomes. I mean, it took me a long time to learn that lesson. I mean, a long time. I'm a man, testosterone, control freak, like all the rest of us males. But I'll tell you, at my age now, I don't want to do anything except delegate. And I do.
Amen.
Another add-on way to get leads and deals, buying and selling, that really doesn't involve it does involve somebody's participation because they got to contact the sellers after they get the lead, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But it 100%. Cracks one of the biggest codes, and that's finding motivated sellers, not just people with a house for sale. I mean, I love it. So I can't wait to hear more about it. All right. So one more time about your webinar, thementorpodcast.com/bots.
You got it. Let's do it.
And you are Matt. Spell your last name, Matt.
Leitz, pronounced like lights.
Okay. All right. Any last words you want to get in here?
No, it's just been a pleasure. I really appreciate this, Ron. This is pretty cool.
All right. Glad to have you. So I'll be talking to you very soon.
All right. Thanks so much.
That's all for this edition of the Mentor Podcast. To connect with Ron and learn how you can attain financial freedom, as well as up-to-date strategies to grow and protect your wealth based on today's discussion, go to www.connectwiththementor.com.